right now. You ready?
I am.
5, 4, 3, 2. Jackie Cation in my garage, and with me, Comedy Wham, founder, Austin, Texas. Welcome to the program, Valerie Lopez.
Thank you, Jackie. I'm so excited.
It's the Dork Forest. We're gonna dork out. It's gonna be good times. I met Valerie Lopez a couple of days ago at a Zoom panel, and she is you do Comedy Wham, which is just you cover the comedy scene in Austin, Texas, right?
Yep, that's my thing. That's my thing.
And you've been doing it for almost 10 years, or?
It's getting really close. Yeah.
Awesome. And your Instagram is super meowy, which makes me think that you might enjoy cats. And and your dorkdom is the original Law and Order. I have to admit, I've watched none of it. I've probably seen an episode. Yeah. But I don't know who the characters are. I know that guy from Dirty Dancing was in it, and and that's all I got. So
that's so funny. So the second that you said that, I was thinking, Jackie, what must you do when you're traveling across the country and the world and you're stuck in hotel rooms? Because what I do when I'm stuck in a hotel room is I go through the guide of the TV, and I always find a Law and Order playing.
There's always a Law and Order. I made a lateral move back in the late 90s because I think Law and Order's been around for at least 25 years, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I went lateral. I went to different. It was Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, and then NCIS and Leverage, and then I think it was Charmed. And it was I went that direction, right? Like Bones and Castle. I think I'm currently watching all of Castle on the road, because between 3 and 7 p.m. every day on basic cable television, it's Law and Order, or it's one of those other things.
Yeah.
And so you like the original. So I don't even know when did it start? Do you?
It started in 1990, and the reason that I think I've been watching it, it did.
Oh my God.
It's the reason that I thought about that is I had graduated college the year after, and I had moved to a new town, so I wasn't in my old college town anymore. I didn't know anybody, and I just started watching that.
Right, because that's what happens when you move to a new town. You end up watching a great deal of television those first couple of years.
Exactly.
If you don't have anyone to hang out with. It's so what okay, so the original was that guy on the original? What did the staff
that guy? There's so many that guy. No, the staff changes. So Detective Lenny Briscoe is Jerry Orbach. He's the Dirty Dancing actor.
That's it.
He's
Jerry.
the bad dad.
I know his name. I was almost Jerry Orbach. Okay.
So he wasn't original, he wasn't one of the original detectives, but he is hands down my favorite detective. He's got the best sense of humor.
Okay.
And, it's funny that I am now watching. I'm in a full-on binge of watching the show on Peacock with my son.
Okay.
So it's like come full circle. And we've gotten past the episodes after Lenny left, or Jerry Orbach left, and my retort whenever the new detective tries to make a joke is I just say, "You're no Lenny."
You're no Lenny. It's okay. So Jerry Orbach is he's not one of the original. Well, who are the original?
Gosh, I didn't take notes on that, because you know what?
That's okay. Yeah.
The reason
did he come in early? Yeah.
He came in pretty early, but the reason that nobody ever wants to talk about the very early seasons, like I did buy the first season off of Amazon.
Okay.
It is so glacially paced. Like it is painfully slow compared to after a few seasons, they got into a much faster rhythm of figuring out, the whodunit part, and then the drama, the legal drama side, moved more quickly. So it's like, they weren't good for a few seasons.
Okay, so those first couple of seasons were actually troublesome. They weren't great. Were they okay? Like
when
if you can do it when you're a purist, I suppose.
when you're a purist, yeah. No, I've never finished rewatching that first season. Even I can't.
Oh, okay.
Even I can't do it.
So the setup, so would you recommend people start with season 3?
I think that's a pretty safe bet. But
okay,
this binge watch that we're doing, they only started around season 12. So I don't know why you can't get to season 11. And then there's been some high drama news lately. My son and I were just talking. We were pre-gaming. I was actually watching.
Okay.
We were watching a Law and Order episode before this. He always does the TV setup to get us set up to watch the next episode. And he said,
Right.
"Oh, they just made a little blurb that says this is going away next week." And I'm like, "What?
What? That's
Yeah.
It was an NBC staple for so long.
So long.
And
yeah.
so you started watching around 2001 series.
Yeah.
Like 2001, 2002. That's when you started
91. 91.
Oh, you started watching the 91? Or
Yeah.
because it started in 1990.
It started in 90. I started watching in 91. And I was,
No, with your son though. With your son.
With my son, since they started 2012, or that's what's available on Peacock. Oh, I got to do that math. It's around 2004 or so, 2003. Like they reference 9/11.
Right. So he started watching since 2003 or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's missed the first 12, 11 seasons.
Yeah.
And this is heyday of Jerry Orbach, this 2003.
Yeah.
And when did he get off, stop doing the show? Maybe another, is there another 10 seasons of him? Like, did it go till 2013?
He might have left around season 14, I want to say. And I didn't write down the year. I'm just going based on, okay, what season am I in now? And when do we think he left? And it was a real sad reason that he left too. I mean, he was battling prostate cancer for like 10 years.
Oh, it looks like he died in 2004.
Okay, so
he probably he literally kept he kept doing it. So
yeah, he on the show they made his character retire because he wanted to go to another show that would be less exhausting,
less demanding.
to
Yeah,
film.
but he wanted to keep working. Okay.
And it turned out that other show only got a few episodes of him before he passed away. It's like really tragic.
Oh, okay. Weirdly enough, okay, there we go. I'm like, they've got his movie they've got his like filmography.
Yeah.
But they don't. Okay, so he started, he wasn't, I think, oh wow. So 1992, he became Lenny Briscoe.
Oh, so that is fairly early. Okay.
So in 1991, he was just on an episode.
Yes, I did see that research that he was a defense attorney.
Oh, is that what he was? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So in 92 until 2004, he was on Law and Order.
Okay.
And that is kind of fascinating. And then, so there's him, and then who else? So wait, let's start from the beginning here, because one of the reasons I have a hard time with Law and Order is because it's actually 2 shows, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. And it's only 1 hour, right? So
only
is it,
1 hour.
Does it split down pretty evenly? 30 minutes of the law, 30 minutes of the order, or does it mix?
It does, but every once in a while they'll throw in something where the detective work is wrapped up in like 15 minutes. And then you're like, no, something's about to go down because this is too easy.
Too soon?
Exactly.
Do they ever go back and forth? Do they meet? Do the detectives end up testifying?
Sometimes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes they do, especially when there's been like a shady thing that happens. There's one with Detective Sisto ends up hooking up with an eventual suspect and defendant. And so they call him to the stand, and then of course they trash him because he slept with the defendant, but then he uses it to, find evidence. And so he redeems himself, but everybody hates him on the law side. They hate him because he put the case in serious jeopardy. But all the detective
Okay.
side, they're like, yeah, this wasn't good, but you ended up getting the bad guy.
And they didn't know, right? And he didn't know going into it that she was going to be a suspect, or is it
No, he
is
didn't
it the
know.
rule? Is it the rule that you're not supposed to sleep with anybody that you meet while investigating a crime? That seems like
I'm
that
guessing
ought to
that's
be
a
the
general.
rule.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm guessing there's
that sounds like a really good rule. So you're like, she may become a suspect, he may become a suspect. Try not to get with them. Wait
Yeah,
till the
exactly.
case is over before you start sleeping with people. And did they end up sleeping together? Like, did it end up being a relationship?
Not a real one. No, he ended
Oh,
up,
okay.
because she was a manipulator, and she had conned people, before him, and he realized,
Okay.
oh, she's trying to con me. And then he realized, oh, I could use this to my advantage and get some evidence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So he was willing to whore himself out for the job.
In his defense, he was one of the really hot detectives.
What so are they there's a staff that is the detectives and the cops. And how many of is there normally like 4 or 5 of them that kind of work on?
It's usually 2 detectives. There's a senior
Okay.
and then a junior detective, and there's a lieutenant that's another example of a lieutenant who served for a really long time, Lieutenant Anita Van Buren. She had been on the first season as a victim's mother, and then a few seasons later, she was the lieutenant. And I think she was
Cast.
on a little bit longer than Jerry Orbach was on.
Okay.
We're in season 16 now, and she's still around.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's usually the typical. Every once in a while, they'll have a recurring character in, like, maybe the medical examiner or the person who looks at the dead body.
With the
The
coroner.
coroner.
Yep.
Sometimes, like, somebody who's looking at the phone records might be a recurring character, but the focus is always on those 3.
Okay. And there's never any sort of cops, like officers?
The cops will show up when, they first come upon a body, and they're telling the detectives, this is what I found, this is what the scene's like, but those aren't recurring characters.
Okay. So they'll just like sort of under 5 kind of.
Exactly.
Okay. So
and then on the
yeah.
law side, it's pretty similar. You've got 2 defense attorneys, not defense attorneys, DAs. Wait,
Okay. Oh, the prosecutor?
Yeah, 2 prosecutors, a senior, who everybody kind of knows, Jack McCoy. Sam Waterston is the actor.
Okay.
And a junior, and then the actual district attorney, who's, big wig kind of person.
Okay. And then so there's always time or room for like recurring like judges.
Yes. Some of our favorite recurring judges, Fran Lebowitz, who I think is like a pretty well-known New Yorker in her
Right.
own
She's
right.
She's a New York writer and snark.
Yeah.
Like she's super snarky and yeah.
She'll be a judge, and it's hilarious when she's on.
I think I read an article that said that she did the judge often enough to get insurance from SAG or something like that.
That's smart.
Yeah, well, that's really nice of Law and Order to do that for her.
Yeah.
And Candice Bergen, I think, is also sometimes, or no?
I'm not sure. I don't recognize, or not. I obviously recognize who she is, but I can't think of seeing her very often. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So,
but it's
Fran Lebowitz. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's such an industry, though, when you think about, just like what you're saying, there's a lot of under 5 parts. And so, it's a whole industry of being.
Yeah. Right. That's steady work if you can get into the casting people into that thing. So,
Yeah.
so there's the two detectives and the lieutenant on the law side, and then there's the DAs and the defense attorneys. Do they change, or is it
They almost always change. Yeah. They're every once in a while they'll have like a multi-episode thing where you'll see that the same defense attorney coming through.
It'd be interesting to me if they had like a recurring public defender and how shitty that job is.
Yeah.
They don't have that?
Yeah. Every once in a while they will do a shitty public defender episode.
Right.
And it's really quite sad.
Right. Well, I think that's the other reason why I've never watched it, is because I think it can get super sad. Like I would never watch the sex one, the SVU one. I was like,
that's why I'm loyal to the original, because I don't want to deal with that. That's so sad.
Right. You're just like, oh, okay. I see that you like, you just, it seems like crime porn to me. So there's enough crime porn going on in normal, like if I watch NCIS, which I watch Castle, which I watch, all the British crime shows that I'm currently watching. Right.
Yeah.
And, but Law and Order, normal Law and Order, like sometimes the bad guys, do they win ever?
Sometimes they do. Yeah. Yeah. Or sometimes like we just, so we're bouncing back and forth because if you've never watched, you may not know this. They were canceled in 2010. They're now back with new episodes. So now they're doing season 22. So because we're bouncing back and forth between old seasons and keeping up with a new season, we just watched a new episode, but also an old episode that had the same trope where it was somebody was killed, an undocumented worker was an eyewitness, and the DA's office promised to protect them from immigration, and they get the bad guy, which is a great outcome, but then the DA's office finds out the person has been why can't I think of the word?
They were illegally immigrated or something, or
where they were shipped back home.
Oh, deported?
Deported, thank you. I don't know why I can't think of that word. So, and in one case, it was back to maybe Pakistan or some really, at the time, because, they do recognize some of the political environment that is happening at the time.
Sure.
But, there's one where that was the situation, and another where it was, some really terrible.
2010 was right before we killed bin Laden. And when I say we, I mean the US government.
Yeah.
So, and they were like, oh, we're sure he's in Iraq. And it turns out he was just in Pakistan. So, so that was the 2010 one was about an essentially.
Well, we haven't gotten to 2010, but I'm just saying in our binge watch, we're on season 16 right now for our old episodes, but then they just had one with this season 22 episode where it was like almost the exact same, which, when you've had 22 seasons, there's going to be some repeat concepts.
Well, and I think as a lawyer, you're going to get the same cases over and over.
Yeah.
So what the heck? So in the early one, in the 16th season, there's the crime is the same, the resolution is the same, and the state of the denouement is kind of the same. Is that what they're hitting the same beats? And then when you watch the current one, the one from 2022 or 23, can you go, oh, I know who did it and I know what the problems are going to be? Can you see it coming?
No. I can't, because they are creative, and they, as compared to the very first season, like they try to cram a lot of twists and turns.
Okay.
Which is easy to buy into on the detective side, because, it's hearsay, whatever, you're chasing a lot of things. But on the legal side, like I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know all the possible twists and turns. They must have amazing legal consultants to, throw out twists and turns.
Like, what are the legal twists that come up that make you go, is that real or is that not real?
Well, probably
because you can't know, because you're not a lawyer.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I mean, when they say new words, and I'm like, what does that mean? They're like, because it's in Latin, they'll say out, well, throw out, oh,
It's-
we're gonna issue a
it's
writ of certiorari Latinus. And I'm like, what is that? And you
yeah,
don't know. Um, but I think probably the easiest way that they have for throwing curveballs is when they say, well, we're gonna issue a motion to suppress, some key piece of evidence. And you never know when that's gonna get thrown out. And then they have to kind of either go back to the detectives or
right.
challenge or whatever.
Yes, exactly. I will say that I mean, that's always the interesting thing when they go into the courtroom and you're like, oh, is that, I mean, that is kind of fascinating. We're like, can you get away with that? Is that something that would trip up something like that? So like the ones I tend to watch are more cop related than law related.
Yeah.
So it is interesting to see that there's the same tropes coming on the cop side. Like on the arresting side, Bones, even like Miss Fisher's murder mystery, or some of the British ones, they're always
Uh-huh.
going to some carnival. There's always some, there's some, or in like Castle, they go to, or in a lot of things, all of a sudden they have to go to New Orleans and they have to deal with voodoo.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. And so are they going to the same neighborhoods?
No, they are always hopping around different neighborhoods in New York, and that's pretty fascinating. But because
Right.
I recently heard Sam Waterston, the actor who plays Jack McCoy, he was on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, and he was asked, so do you know New York City like the back of your hand because you've had to film in so many different areas? And he's like, yeah, I have a pretty good knowledge of New York just because we picked so many different, New York areas to film.
Right. And he must live in New York to shoot.
Yeah,
And
yeah. He's also a
yeah.
Broadway actor, and he's,
You know what I feel? I feel like there's a big crossover between the original Law and Order and Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. I don't know why,
maybe.
but I think
I
that
don't
there's
know.
so
Are you calling
yes.
me a dork?
Now I'm calling you definitely sort of an NPR nerd for sure.
Yeah.
And it's my husband is one. So I'm in the
I have
I'm
two
in the know.
I have two NPR t-shirts. So yeah, you got me.
Oh, there you go. What so do you have a sort of a list of, I forgot to ask you this, and it's still early, so you're gonna have to sort of dig deep into your Law and Order fandom here. Do you have favorite episodes?
I I have been thinking that you would ask me that question, and it would be impossible for me to answer that because there's
It's
so
a really
many.
short episode,
It's
guys. Thanks for listening. Uh,
okay. No, I will tell you. Anytime that Lady is on, it's a favorite episode. Uh, the episode where the hot detective sleeps with the girl, because it's such a hilarious conclusion. She's on the witness stand and she realizes that the detective has done her dirty by trying to sleep with her and then collecting evidence. And in the middle of her witness testimony, she slips her hand down her skirt and starts masturbating.
what?
Yes, because she's convinced the judge wants her now.
Oh.
So she's like a really deranged personality. So to me, that one stands out, but mostly because of the hot detective. and and you'll appreciate this. So
Yes.
there is one standout episode for me because they've had so many guest stars, right, that have come through town
Right.
through
Yep.
the shows. My very favorite one actually has the Sklar brothers when they were teeny tiny babies. Like they had to have been in their early 20s because
Did they play twins?
they did play twins, which is, playing to type. But it's funny, they're so young that when the first one is on scene, and they don't wear Jason doesn't wear his glasses in the episode, so I literally cannot tell them apart. But one of the twins shows up by himself, and I'm like, is that? is that a Sklar? That's how young they are.
Right.
And then when the other twin shows up, I'm like, this is the Sklar episode.
That is so funny that it was because your comedy fandom like bled into the into the Law and Order. So I, by the way, am talking with Valerie Lopez, who has she covers comedy in Austin, Texas. It's called Comedy Wham. And her own Instagram is called Super Meowy, MEOWY. And she covers comedy, Austin comedy scene at is it comedywham.com?
Yep.
There we go. All right, Valerie. So are there other comics who have been on the shows?
Now, I've done my homework on this one. Okay, so
well, let's hear it.
I guess I could say any episode that has a comic on it has been a favorite. Jim Gaffigan, again, was super young. Super young.
And lives in New York. So
and I don't in the case of the Sklar Brothers episode, I don't think they were the killer.
Oh, but they weren't the bad guy?
No, but Jim Gaffigan was the killer in his episode.
Oh, that's perfect casting. I think he's a little spooky, isn't he? That's
but he was so good, and I always wondered why, because so many comics become really great dramatic actors, and I always wonder why didn't he do it, because he was so good at being a creepy dramatic like killer.
I think he had a short-lived sitcom as a dad, didn't he? Jim Gaffigan? Maybe. He has 5 kids.
Right. Yeah. Maybe that's why he got too busy.
Right. So Jim Gaffigan was on as a bad guy.
Yeah.
The Sklar brothers have been on, whether or not they were supporting or whether they were monsters. We don't remember. Who else?
So this I had to do research on. Chevy Chase apparently has been on. Jerry Stiller was on.
Did you see the Chevy Chase one?
I don't think I did. No.
Okay.
I'm sure back in the 90s I did, but I don't remember, in
which episode it was.
Yeah.
It was interesting. So Chevy Chase was on Law and Order, and Cornelius Chevy Chase is an actor who played Mitch Carroll on the Law and Order episode In Vino Veritas. And Mitch Carroll, I think he was a lawyer.
Huh. Okay. That's hilarious.
Okay. So
does it say the season at all?
Season 17, episode 7.
17. So we might get to watch it, because my son and I are on 16.
Oh no.
Ooh.
He is not a detective. His name is Mitch. His name is indeed Mitch something, but he is arrested for drunk driving at 2 a.m. while wearing blood-stained clothes.
Oh boy.
Did he do it?
Ooh.
What's the noise? They dun dun
dun dun.
Yes. And so that's next season in your rewatch.
Okay. Cool.
And that's exciting.
Yeah. So Jerry Stiller is another one.
Did you see that one?
I don't remember that one. No. Are you looking it up?
I'm looking it up. I'm going to tell you. He gets started in the Law and Order episode, The Fertile Fields, as Michael Tobias in the Law and Order episode, and he was in 2 different episodes.
Oh.
And it looks like Ben Stiller was in Law and Order SVU.
Oh.
And that's hilarious. So it unlike Chevy Chase, there is no very quick thing saying the episode. It's a corpse of a badly burned Jewish jeweler is found in an alley. Initial evidence suggests it could be a hate crime performed by a group of Black youths, but a business motive is later uncovered. What episode? I wish no synopsis, which is probably for the best, because you don't want to give it away too much, right?
No. Yeah.
But what I was hoping,
it's not like Law and Order has a well-established premise and structure.
Right. And spoiler alert from whatever season this is does seem kind of lame, but I do wonder what episode this was. And it is not telling me. The Fertile Fields. I would like to know. Episode aired April 7th, 1992.
Oh, pretty early on then. Oh gosh.
So that's
this was
Jerry's.
Was that pre-Seinfeld?
No, Seinfeld, I think. No, it might have been right around Seinfeld.
Yeah.
But Jerry Stiller, as we all know, an actor with a great deal of depth and a huge career before Seinfeld. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, who else you got?
So the last person that I had on my list from the comedy realm was Janine Garofalo, and I think I vaguely remember her being on, but I can. So
yeah, that we got to know. We got to know which one Garofalo was on.
She's the hardcore New Yorker, so it makes sense that they would have gotten her on.
Well, and I'm sure she's still mad that she still hasn't. So she was on an episode. Oh, 2 episodes. One called D Girl and Showtime. So Showtime was D Girl was 1997. Both on 1997.
Ah.
All right. So 1997 would have been kind of been a heyday of Janine Garofalo's sort of movie.
Yeah.
And
yeah, because early 90s was all the whatever the big movie was. Can't even remember the name of it, with Ethan Hawke and all those cute young actors.
Right. All right. And then while I'm doing this, you'll be happy to know that Maria Bamford is asking me if I can go to North Carolina with her. So
I love it. I love it.
Okay, I can, but why do you need my birthday? So why don't you check my Wikipedia page, as I'm doing with other people? So, hey, let's take a quick break here in case there's an ad. Sometimes there's an ad, and let's find out if there is one right now. Was there one? Did you enjoy it? Let us continue talking with Valerie Lopez. Valerie Lopez, ComedyWham.com, Austin, Texas, at Super Meowie. We're talking Law and Order. What else you got for me? Okay,
so a lot of people got their big breaks with Law and Order.
Okay.
Among those are, I think J.K. Simmons was a psychologist on the show. He was a rare recurring character, and I think he first came to big notoriety through Law and Order. Anthony Anderson is another one. He was a detective, a junior detective, and it's funny to me that he was like very buttoned up, very serious, and then he launches with Blackish and is like comedic performer. And when they did the reboot, the relaunch of the new seasons last fall, he was on the first few episodes because he was a detective when they canceled it in 2010. So they brought him back for the new, but the man's got to be so busy and flush with the Blackish and Grownish money that he's like, 2 episodes, that's good, I'm good.
Right. I just want to give an homage to the people that hooked me up early on.
Yeah,
sure. I'll like, maybe he was doing them a favor, So
yeah. What I didn't know, and I didn't fully research, is there are Google articles out there, or Googleable articles, that say that Samuel L. Jackson got his break by being a recurring character. And I'm like, okay, that must have been early 90s, but I guess that's about when he did start to break. So I guess it's possible.
When was he on? Do you remember those episodes?
I don't. That's the thing. Let's see. I wrote a note.
With Samuel L. Jackson, you say?
Yeah, I can't even read my own handwriting.
Law and Order.
Oh, 1991, I think, is what it says. So
which would have been early.
Yeah, first or second season.
The Voice of Summer, PB episode 1991. He played defense attorney Louis Taggart. That was he debuted on his first role was in 1981 on a movie. That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway, so so he started acting in 81, and then in 91 he got an episode of Law and Order, and now he's everywhere.
He's
He
everywhere.
is,
Yeah.
he is
Yeah.
everywhere you want to be. So that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So, some careers were launched and crazy number of guest people. I didn't realize this. Adam Driver was a guest in the last season, the 2010 season. So I'm looking forward to getting to that because I love Adam Driver.
Who is Adam Driver?
Adam Driver, oh gosh, he's one of the, well, if you don't watch any Star Wars related stuff, which I only do because of my son, he's the guy that killed the Harrison Ford character. So this is as much as my
He's
Star Wars.
Kylo Ren?
Yes.
This is the second episode where I don't know prominent Star Wars actors.
I don't either. Look, I just called him the Harrison Ford character.
I, on the other hand, kind of a Star Wars fan. Not a huge, I mean, not a crazy Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
But so you like Adam Driver a lot, even though he played the emo Sith on the Phantom Menace. No, the Phantom Menace would have been there. He was in Phantom Menace. Here's a picture of Adam Driver with a horse. Who doesn't want that? That literally looks like something that 45-year-old women touch themselves to. On the stand on Law and Order. He looks, by the way, enormous with a tiny head. Why is he? What? It's so weird.
He was a former military guy, I just love his backstory and how he's not conventionally attractive. He takes chances with his acting roles. I love him. Oh my God. The episode's over.
This is the funniest picture that I've ever seen in my life, which is him
on a horse.
On a horse.
Shirtless.
Here's tickets to that thing that you wanted. And now they're diamonds. Do you remember that ad for, I think not Ocean Spray. It was a men's cologne that nobody liked. The men's cologne ad. Whatever happened to that actor?
I don't know. He's not. If he wasn't on Law and Order, I don't know.
Exactly. So you talk about Law and Order some more, and okay. I will talk about
Elba. Idris Elba apparently again didn't write down the article that I was reading. Did not say which episode or season he was in, but apparently he was. And then to balance things out, you've got people like Amanda Peet, who's not superstar, but still kind of pretty famous. Claire Danes, who of course was My So-Called Life and whatever the Showtime show was that she was in.
Okay.
Sarah Paulson. I think she really did get her start with some guest roles on Law and Order.
Yeah. So I don't know who it was Old Spice is what I'm thinking of. And this guy is on a horse and I don't know why. The man man could smell like. Remember that one?
Yeah, those Old Spice commercials are funny. Gosh.
This guy, what we're doing, this is compelling narrative, you guys. But it's going to be there. He's on a boat holding Old Spice. And now
holding diamonds.
The Old Spice and now he's on a horse. So there you go. That needed to be done. I don't know where that actor is, but I want him to have been on Law and Order, quite honestly. So after so I lost you. This is why Laurie Kilmartin yells at me during the Jackie and Laurie show. But I do wonder if Isaiah Amir Mustafa was ever on Law and Order. Let's find out. This is a fun game for me now.
Okay.
And then we'll get back to you, Valerie Lopez. So come wait a minute.
With 22 seasons, it's a pretty good bet. There should be a Trivial Pursuit Law and Order if there isn't already one.
Oh, I'm gonna guess there is.
Okay. I'll Google that while you're Googling what you're thinking.
You do that. Hey, Rangers, what are you Googling? Feel free to email me at JackieCation.com. Law and Order. Let's see. Was he ever on Law and Order? Who is the guy? He's an actor and a director. All right. So maybe not. maybe he's never been on Law and Order. But here's
Bummer.
where I would like to reach out to the casting. Is it the same casting people, do you think? They have to be 100 years old now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are some names that I see that on when we're watching the old seasons and the new season, I'm like, oh, they're still there.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Well,
that's, I mean, sort of like Young and the Restless. Go ahead.
I had a cool full circle moment. So I got an opportunity to interview Howie Mandel a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
And we were talking about how, because I had done some research that said his very first dramatic acting role was for St. Elsewhere. And so I mentioned that. And he said, actually, my first dramatic role was for a Dick Wolf movie, and it was his first project that he ever sold. And I'm like, okay, the interview's done, because now I'm more excited that you know Dick Wolf. And he said, yeah, we are lifelong friends. We've been friends since that first project in the late 80s. So
who's Dick Wolf?
oh,
welcome to the Dork Forest, where Jackie doesn't know anything. That's the great thing about it. We're
that's
doing
hilarious.
a lateral. Who's Dick Wolf?
So anybody that's listening now who knows Law and Order is like, what the hell? She doesn't know? No,
I don't know.
He is the founder, creator, producer of Law and Order and all of its offshoots, and yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he is the guy who created Law and Order.
He is, yeah.
There's a very good reason I don't know who that guy is. I don't watch it, and I've only seen parts of every episode.
I mean, he's like one of the first names that you see after they do the little intro.
Right. So have you ever came close to meeting Dick Wolf?
Oh no.
Okay. So all right. Well, he
but
was
now
born
I'm 2 degrees of separation, because I met
very close. Yeah, because other people know him, and it'd be one of those things where you would run into him and go, oh, and he would be like, "Why do you recognize me?" And so, but that's amazing. Yeah. Anybody else? Well, who else you
got? Well, so some funny people showed up, or not funny, but interesting, like Diane Wiest. She was the mom in The Lost Boys. She had a turn as a district attorney.
Footloose. She was the mom in the Footloose as well.
Yeah.
She played some moms, Diane.
She played some very
she was Squinty McClintock before Squinty McClintock. She was like, there's so many there's Rachel Zellweger is the current Squinty McClintock.
Yep.
And so, and I forget who was in the middle of Squinty McClintock's. It was Diane Wiest for a long time.
Yeah.
And then for a long time, it was Ellen Barkin. And then it was, now it's Renee Zellweger. And there might be an even newer Squinty McClintock.
Yeah, there probably is. Yeah.
So Diane Wiest was on Law and Order?
Yeah, she was the district attorney. So she was the big boss, and she'd call the shots every once in a while.
So she was recurring.
She was, yeah, but she didn't last very long. She was only in for a few seasons. I didn't write down when, but I remember I didn't love her character as the DA, probably because, I just remembered her as a mom from those 80s movies.
In real life, DAs can also be moms.
Yeah.
And if they would have found one, they would have found the best way to write that, because that would have been amazing.
Yeah. I did like, as of all of the legal assistants, my favorite was Angie Harmon. I don't remember what her character. Oh, Abby Carmichael. But Angie Harmon, this was before whatever the Rizzoli and Isles. Yeah,
she was on Rizzoli and Isles.
Yeah.
And what did you like about her on that show? Was she just smart or funny, or
she was very
the
smart.
way she played it?
Yeah, and yeah. She played well against the Jack McCoy character, because not everybody does. There was one legal assistant that was playing against her, and it was just so weird. I guess they didn't like, maybe Dick Wolf didn't really like her all that much, and so they were cutting her from the show. And it had never. One of the things about Law and Order that's interesting is they very rarely reveal a lot of what's going on in the person's personal life. Like, you may not even know that somebody's married or whatever, like with
like between the cops and the lawyers, you don't know a lot about their home life. They don't go back.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like Hill Street Blues. Okay.
Yeah, no. So it's very focused on, the crime at hand. But with this woman, this legal assistant, they were canning her from the show, and it had never been revealed that she was gay. But on
Okay.
her last episode, her very last episode, she's talking to the head honcho DA, and they say, well, it's just not working out. So yeah, this is your last day. And out of the blue, she says, is it because I'm a lesbian? And they cut the episode right there. So my son and I are.
Wait, that was the end of the episode?
Yes, and the end of her career on Law and Order. So I'm like, wait a minute. We never knew she was gay. So
right.
It was never discussed amongst the lawyers.
Oh, we're going to Google on this one. What was the name of this actress?
I don't know. She was blonde.
What was her name was what was the name of the character? Abby?
Oh, God. No. This wasn't Angie Harmon.
So there's a legal assistant on Law and Order, and revealed as gay in her last episode.
Okay, so yeah, Serena, is that her name?
Serena Sutherland is a fictional character portrayed by Elizabeth Rome on the long-running NBC drama series Law and Order. She has 2 umlauts in her name. We'll be happy to know. Oh crap!
Very important.
So I get a copy, and then I'm going to paste that. That's what I want to paste. I want to paste and look up that lady. Come here. Select all. Paste. Look it up. Okay, so there she is. She's a German-American television and film actress. She's best known for playing Kate Lockley on the television series Angel from 1999 to 2001. Oh, so you'd think I would know her because I've seen all of Angel. But nope, I got nothing.
Wow.
But she was clearly on. She is also a director and a writer, according to all of this. And of course, good news. Crazy IMDb. If you don't pay for Pro, she's still working.
Great.
Good for her. She looks like she's in a lot of sort of feature length stuff that is not well known, but it looks like she is, I meet a lot of people that are like our actors, and well, that's not true. And they act in smaller stuff until they get regular work, or if they never get regular work, they spent their entire lives acting because they're actors. Remember that TV show Jane the Virgin?
Yeah.
She was on that for 5 years.
Huh.
So she is clearly, and that ended in 2019, probably canceled because, right before lockdown. So maybe it was canceled because of COVID, but who knows?
Yeah. Huh. Well, that's good to know, because I never saw her after that. So I must have just never seen it.
What a weird thing.
Terrible.
Yeah. What a weird thing to do to her. Like, I don't know if she's actually, is she gay? I suppose I could look up Elizabeth Rome and then just the words, is she gay? Because I wonder if Dick Wolf, no, she's married. She's married to a fella, and she is active in the union, the SAG union and the Writers Guild. Good for you, Elizabeth Rome.
Yeah.
So it turns out that is a really weird thing for the writers to do. Does Dick Wolf also write on the shows, or?
I'm guessing at this point he's just, taking bads and cash.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. The executive producing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so weird, but that was in the early 90s when she was on. So maybe.
No, I think her last episode was 2005. So what was
that? So that was 15 years later. Yeah.
Yeah. So that may have been like in the when you were starting to get the Supreme Court activity of looking at gay marriage laws, and like every once in a while you will get like true ripped from the headlines storylines, but that one just felt so bizarre, and it was just
right
not,
out of left field and never. And weird for her to say, is it because I'm gay? And then smash cut to black.
Yeah.
Like, and then just end the episode. That feels like somebody's doing something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels like somebody didn't like somebody. You're right.
Yeah.
That is so weird. Okay. Do you have any final thoughts about Law and Order? What else you got?
I think maybe one funny little joke. Richard Belzer, who recently passed away, who was, on
he was on forever, right? Oh, SVU.
Yeah, he was on SVU, so I didn't get to appreciate him. I just remember him from the Sha-Na-Na days.
What was he, Bowser? What do you mean, the Sha-Na-Na days?
Yeah, he was Bowser.
That wasn't his action. Bowser is not Richard Lewis.
Wait, no, not Richard Lewis. He's not. No,
Bowser was
okay,
Bowser.
Hold on.
Okay. I don't know why I know that, but I don't know who anybody else is. Kylo Ren, for example. But Richard Lewis is just a comic.
Right.
Bowser,
no, but
did he play him in a movie?
I never said Richard Lewis. Did I?
Yeah, you said Richard Lewis was Bowser.
No, I said Richard Belzer.
Richard Belzer was also John
Bowser. I don't know. Whatever. Okay, whatever.
John Bauman was Bowser.
Yeah.
John Bowser was Bowser.
There
and then
go.
Richard Belzer was on SVU.
Yeah.
Oh my God, people are yelling at the phones right now.
Probably are. They hate me so much now. Anyway, he
called
that dun-dun sound that
always
everybody knows. He called that the Dick Wolf cash register sound, and I thought that was really funny.
Okay. There's a little fun fact to end on. Law and Order, you guys, you're probably already watching it. You probably all had questions for Valerie Lopez that I don't have. And you probably all have anecdotes that you would want to tell me about Law and Order. Feel free to email me and I will forward those emails to Valerie Lopez.
And for somebody who's never watched it, you played really well along.
And I have to say, you could just essentially, when we post the clips on our Instagram, go to Super Meowie and ask and tell your anecdotes there. Yeah. But comedywham.com, Valerie Lopez, thank you so much for doing the show.
Yeah, thank you, Jackie.
And Rangers, you know the rules out there. Take care of each other.